So my name is Eric Martinez. I own Java Groove Cafe that we're sitting in right here in downtown Evergreen. A new world moment for me was when we moved to Evergreen in 2020. I was working in a corporate job, and I had been working that job for over a decade. And before that, I was working a different corporate job for almost a decade. So I had about 20 years in the corporate world, and moving to Evergreen, I think, just opened something up in me where I realized that I was very much not fulfilled working in that corporate environment. So I started looking around for opportunities to get out of that. And the owners of this cafe here, which had been here for now almost 20 years, they had had it for about 13 years and they wanted to retire. And they put a notice out that they were looking to sell the shop. So almost right away, I quit my corporate job, reached out to them, and bought a coffee shop, as one does. And that was in July of 21. And yeah, we've had it ever since. Well, it's definitely opened up all kinds of opportunities for me. And it's like I mentioned about the lack of fulfillment previously. I get to interact with people every day. I get to meet new people every day. And it's just beautiful to have these moments, even if they're very, very tiny interactions with the customers who walk through the door. And people share all kinds of things in these moments when they walk through. Sometimes they're carrying something really heavy and you can feel it on them. And they just need someone to talk to them, to give them a smile, to have a moment. And I get to experience those things every day. I get to experience moments of joy where someone will come in, they're sitting at a table and I see them kind of like looking at the door, and they're looking at the door and they're waiting for someone. And then that person comes in and they see them and they stand up and they're like, "It's you!" And they give each other a hug, right? And I get to share just like a tiny bit of that joy with them. So that has just opened up this new part of me that I get to experience every day by having a place like this in the community. A few years ago, one of my baristas who works here suggested that I start sharing some of my life and my stories on social media. So I started sharing stories about the cafe, about living in Evergreen, just about my town, just all kinds of things, just about my life. And while I was doing that, people would really respond, and they were connecting with me in different ways. And one of the things that they said a lot was, your town, your story, your little coffee shop in the mountains, like this all sounds like a Hallmark Christmas movie, right? I said, you know what? It kind of does. So I made a video and I said, "Hey Hallmark, look at my town. Look at this coffee shop. Look at the creek. Look, there's Elke who live over there." I said, "Come make a Christmas movie in my town." Hallmark didn't respond, but an independent filmmaker in New York saw it and they reached out to me and they said, "Hey, we don't need Hallmark. Let's make this movie," right? So that initiated this movie that we did get made here in Evergreen, which is incredible. That's a whole surreal story in and of itself. But also for me personally, it rekindled this passion that I had for this industry. So when I was a kid in high school and in college, I did musical theater, student films and things like that, and then literally put it down for 20 years and never did it. And then started doing this social media thing, got connected with this filmmaker, made this movie, and I had to audition for it and all of that. Went through that whole process. And I was like, oh, I really love this. I forgot how much I love this. So now, that was at the tail end of 24, and I've been doing it ever since. So now I have, I think, 5 independent films under my belt, a couple of shorts, some commercials, some true crime reenactments, just a bunch of different things in that world. And I'm just so grateful to have had that kind of serendipitous moment where, again, a barista's like, "You should share your life on social media a little bit," and then that connection, and all of a sudden I have this whole new world that opened up to me. You go through life and sometimes we can just kind of coast, right? Where we're drifting and whatever's happening is happening and we're just going. And sometimes those moments you realize that you've been holding your breath. And you take that breath in and you're like, oh, and you feel renewed. And I think that's what these moments do, is they open up these little parts in you that maybe you thought were closed, and they're not. They're just sleeping. And these things just kind of are your alarm, and they get you going again.